So it's interesting though, because you're kind of juggling or balancing this life of a lot of work, running a business, always on demand, to getting into your very first asset that has a really low barrier to entry, and it doesn't take as much time to run it. It takes very little hours to create cash flow or profit if you buy right, which I'm assuming you did based on the good deal that you got. So I'd be interested to know that transition. When did you go from this active income and, working a lot of hours, trading time for money, even though it's a better quality trade, having a business, having infrastructure, having personnel. So you've got the leverage of, people and software and, technology. So it's not an exact trade, but there's still a large element of trade to being on the passive side of things, totally independent of the time you spend, just making money to cover your life.
It's interesting because I think it's easier when you're younger than it is when you're older. And I've talked to a lot of people. I was speaking to the Emerge group at GoBundance recently, and they were asking me, when you quit your W-2 job, like how much prep went into it? And I'm like 8 minutes, because I was so young. And, so I'm hesitant sometimes I think as we get older and our lifestyles are bigger, it gets harder and harder to quit. And I think it's the same thing with our businesses. So even at an early age, the one thing that I'm proud to say, there's a couple times that I got out of balance, and I could share those stories if we needed to, but even from an early age in that business, I figured out really quickly that I could hire out management, and I had a business partner that, could take care of the business when I was gone, and vice versa. I love partners, by the way, for that reason. So even from an early age, like my kids, we'd go to Indonesia when Dylan was 1, and I'd take weeks off at a time. My kids have seen the world, even through growing that business. And, we scaled that business to over 100 employees at one point. And all during that time, I could take a week off almost at any point of the year. There was, again, a couple times where I got out of balance, but I learned that if I was going to do this, I wanted to scale the business to a point where I wasn't a slave to that business. And so was it passive? No, but I believe that you can run a successful large business and also keep your freedom and your lifestyle and be a present father. It's one of the reasons why I love Front Row Dads so much, because I don't think you have to have either or. And I, again, from an early age, at the age of 24, doing that, I very, very seldom got out of balance, and I could spend that time. And so with the real estate side, though, we went on and bought 45 single families, 5 mobile home parks, and 3 commercial buildings. I was just stacking assets, and it wasn't really for me it wasn't this methodical process and approach as it is like as we get older. To me, it was just like, we've got this cash. I was buying no money down deals. My technicians were bringing me deals from clients that were like, hey, so-and-so, because they would report in the service meetings, like so-and-so doesn't want to move forward on this job because they don't want to put $9,000 into a furnace. They're going to sell the place. I'm like, give me their number. And so I'd get all these leads, and I just started stacking assets. Also, I had a personal assistant that became my property manager. And then when things were broke down or whatever, or broken at a house, or we needed to remodel, we just saved that for when the guys were slow. And so I kind of had this perfect storm of opportunity that I just capitalized on. And I ended up selling that business in 2014. I kept all the real estate. My business partner bought me out. And that's when I really jumped into, thinking about real estate from a long-term perspective. And the thing that I've often said too, though, is like, I thought a lot of that real estate was actually passive to me because my team was running it. But I thought it was going to continue that way. And what I've realized is that, real estate can be passive, but also when you really start to scale a real estate business, it's just another business too, potentially. So you got to watch that.